Geiger Investments presents the Retirement Focus Academy with Kevin Geiger. There are many pieces to the modern retirement puzzle. This show talks about those pieces of retirement and the tools used to help the retired and soon to be retired toward their lifetime goals. Welcome. The Academy is on the air.
Welcome to Retirement Focus Academy, powered by Geiger Investments and Kevin Geiger. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us today. And, you think about all the moving parts when it comes to retirement. You think of all the different types of financial advisors. How in the world do we figure out where we should go and who should we talk to? Because you think about it, when you have kids, they start at the pediatrician, right? Then they might move into the general doctor. And then, of course, as we age, I'm 61. I had a stent put in my heart last year. I had to go to the cardiologist, right? So we end up, the older we get, going more specialized in the healthcare field. Well, shouldn't we be doing that in the retirement field? Because there's no question, insurance agents, stockbrokers, the broker-dealer type people, they can certainly help us, but they're not retirement planners. Kevin and the team at Geiger Investment, they're here to help you. And if you have any questions, you'd like to learn more, it's 843-375-8700. There's no cost, no obligation. There's no pressure when you talk with the team. They're here to help. They just don't know if they can help till you give them a call. It's 843-375-8700. And you can always go to Kevin's website, geigerinvestments.com, G-E-I-G-E-R, geigerinvestments.com. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. We're really going to talk about what's it like really trying to figure out, do I even need somebody to help guide me in my retirement? And how do I sift through all the different types of advisors out there and figure out whom should I be chatting with? And I think that's a good place to start, Kevin. What would you say helps Geiger Investments maybe stand out a little bit from your peers in this industry? Maybe what's the point of difference, if you will?
Sure. And, and that's the great thing about Geiger Investments is, not only are we a mature advising group in the industry, being over 20 years in the industry, but we're also a very targeted type of group of financial advisors, right? We are focused on people that are in or nearing retirement. And you might have heard this from other people talking about this in the industry, but it is true. I mean, the amount of baby boomers that are retiring every day, the need for someone that specializes in what we do to make sure that we're putting all the plans in place. We're covering the tax stuff, the financial planning stuff, everything that has to go into this whole thing. Because when you go into retirement, everything's going to change. And so what's neat about us is we're continuing to expand our business model. We're always adding stuff. We're doing more things. We're, adding other businesses, that are to the in the table. For example, like our Medicare division, we have Carolina Medicare, which will help you on the Medicare side because we found that our retirees needed help with that stuff. The Retirement Focus Academy, we talk about this all the time in the radio show. We set up this non-for-profit Retirement Focus Academy to provide the resources and tools to not only just our clients and prospects that are sitting down with us, but also other people that maybe want to try to do this on their own, giving them the resources because we want to help people. This is what we do best at, and doing this for the last couple decades now, I want to continue to help. In any way we can continue to expand our business, we're going forward. So there's a lot to come from Geiger Investments. There's a lot where we stand out and look different than any other group that you might work with going forward.
And Kevin mentioned the Retirement Focus Academy. You can always go there. It's a great resource for anyone that's getting close to retirement, or maybe you're already in retirement and you still have some questions. RetirementFocusAcademy.com. There's a lot of different educational workshops that cover really all topics related to retirement. That's RetirementFocusAcademy.com, and it's always free of charge for anyone to go there and check it out. So we've been doing this show for a while now. And so let's say somebody calls in from the radio show, 843-375-8700. We're going to get into kind of what should you expect when you come in and sit with Kevin and the team. But before we get there, what would you say to somebody that, let's say, has never worked with an advisor? Because we always have, you get the calls where, hey, Kevin, you're talking about a lot of things that my advisors never talked to me about. Never talked about tax planning, never talked about this, never talked about Social Security or Medicare or any of that kind of stuff. That's not what my advisor does. You're different, but people that have worked with an advisor maybe have an idea of what an advisor does and how they can help. What about somebody that has never sat down with an advisor before? They've just gone to work, done the 401k at work, and said, all right, I wonder if I'm good to go. I mean, what's that experience like?
Oh, and that's a great question for someone to really kind of dive in here, because you have to understand that this is the first time. You've maybe been saving for the last 20, 30 years on your own. you've just, from this point, you're saying, why do I need a financial advisor? You just don't seem to understand the point of it. So let's go through this a little bit. So, now that you're going into retirement, you have to understand that, your life is going to change. You're now stopping your work. You most likely might not have a pension right now. So now you need to turn all that money you've saved for retirement, and you need to turn that into a distribution stage, meaning it has to be set up to provide income for yourself in retirement. And not only that, it has to ensure that it's going to last beyond your lifetime, because the last thing you want to do is run out of money in retirement. So, it's important for people to understand, here's how the experience works. So when someone calls in and they say, hey, Kevin, been listening to you on the radio for the last 6 months or so, very interested in sitting down with you. It just, I'm not sure if I'm the right fit for you, things like that, because these are the types of calls we get from people that have never sat down with someone. And they go, I'm just not sure. And so what we do is we go through some questions with them. We try to get a better understanding because, again, we want to make sure that we're going to be helpful for you. We're going to make sure that we can provide the resources that are going to help you going forward. And then once we kind of identify this stuff and we kind of give you a general idea as far as how everything's going to go, then from there, we send a little link to you. And this link is neat because it's going to provide about a little 5-page thing. It's going to take you about 10-15 minutes to fill out. And what's nice about that is it's going to provide us a lot of information about yourself, your concerns, things like that you're just not sure about going into retirement, or it's going to point out some things you never even thought about. And then from there, you typically, any things you have as far as your, financial statements, any other things like that we would request, we'll get that ahead of time. And so by the time that we get together, it's going to change everything, because now it's going to become what I call meeting 1.5. And this is where we're going to have a better understanding as far as where we're at. And now we're going to discuss areas that we feel that might be some concerns to you and give you guidance going forward. And that's the neat thing about when you come in our office. When you come in, you see Valerie at the front desk, and Valerie's going to basically, her job is to treat you like gold, right? She wants to make you feel good, wants to make you feel comfortable. It's like coming into a dealership, right? There's nothing worse than going into a dealership being fearful that you're just going to be sold on, and that's probably the worst experience about coming into a dealership. And I think every one of us that's ever bought in a car, that's usually what the first thing we cringe about. Well, when you come into our office, it's a totally different experience. It's all about an experience. We want you to feel the value that we're going to provide you. We want to make sure that you're comfortable because you're relying on us to handle managing your financial situation. And so if you're not comfortable with this situation, it's just not going to be a good thing going forward. So we want you to feel that. So then when you sit down in the conference room with us and we're going through this stuff, it's going to change your perspective on what you should be doing and hopefully give you guidance on what you need to be doing going forward. And then from there, when we sit down and we go through this stuff, we kind of put a rough draft together. And I always say we're writing this in pencil. We're putting a plan together just to give you an idea of what we can do. And then from there, we tweak things and we get together in a second meeting. And on the second meeting is a fun meeting because this is the time where we actually pretty much go, here is the plan that we kind of put in place based on your needs, your issues that you might have, because everyone's situation is going to be different. And then we put a plan in place and we find a way to execute that plan going forward. But nothing ends there. So what's neat about this is not only do we have the Retirement Focus Academy where we might actually send you to some of these classes because there might be some areas that you might not be so sure on. And we want to make sure that you're educated on this stuff. We're going to be a part of your life because what's neat about people when they become clients of Geiger Investments is become a part of our family. And so that is such the neat thing about our family is we bring clients in, clients become family to us, we do events together, we do things that gives you an opportunity just to meet other people. So not only are you just working with us as financial advisors, we're also bringing value to your life going forward. So there's a big thing when it comes to Geiger Investments, and then we love to have new clients become a big part of our family going forward.
So if you'd like to learn more about what Kevin and the team at Geiger Investments can do for you in your retirement, you can always give them a call. That's where it starts. It starts with a phone call, 843-375-8700. And maybe Kevin at Geiger Investments end up not being a good fit for you. Maybe you're not a good fit for them because this is a two-way street. Look at yourself as the CEO. It's your retirement, it's your hopes and dreams. Look at Kevin and the team at Geiger Investments as your CFO, your Chief Financial Officer, because they've helped other people retire. They understand that world. You've never retired before, so you're using their expertise to help you maybe have a little bit more stress-free retirement. That would be fantastic. 843-375-8700. And so that leads me, if somebody does call, 843-375-8700, walk me through what all happens here, because certainly there's a conversation to start with, and does it make sense to come in and let's start delving into this, can we help you type of a thing. What should they expect when they come into the office? What kinds of things is that first, are you going to ask? What kind of things are you trying to learn in that first meeting? Put us in that chair.
Sure. So this is the most important thing is I would say we have to break you down in order to build you back up. And it sounds kind of silly and kind of productive in a sense, but the reason why we do that is
so you're saying you're going to yell and scream and really like you were going to boot camp, and then you're going to build us back up.
Call this nice boot camp. We're not going to be yelling or anything, but the reason why we do that is because there's so many misconceptions out there. There's so much good and bad information that you read online from your friends that seem to have all the financial advice in the world, yet they're not qualified to do this stuff. And so, we come in and we say, whatever you think you know, we're going to basically toss and we're going to start from scratch. So it's like ripping that piece of paper off or throwing that book, in the garbage and saying, let's rewrite this book. Let's give you a better understanding as far as what you need to be doing, what you should be doing, and how you should be doing that. So that is real important for you to understand. And we're not going to judge you because of the fact that maybe you thought something and maybe it was the wrong thing. That's definitely not the thing. So I don't want you to ever feel if you ever come into our office and feel that you're going to be given, a little slap in the hand saying, no, you're doing this all wrong. What were you thinking? Never going to happen in our office, because the reality is we all know that you're going to know a lot of good information, and we all know that you're going to have some information that maybe was just not right. So we want to guide you through that. And then once we kind of build that back up, now we're going to sit down and really digest your personal situation, because everyone's situation is going to be different. It always has been. Doing this for over 20 years, I can tell you, I've rarely seen a client that has the exact same setup. I mean, probably never. Right? So what we do is we build a custom plan that's going to work for you. We want to make sure that first and most, we're covering your income needs, right? Because the reality is Social Security is probably not going to cover all your needs. So we need to ensure that we're taking some of those assets and creating some type of income stream for yourself to make sure that you're not going to run out of money in retirement. The biggest fear out of all things, right? And then we're going to figure out how we're going to reduce the tax situation going forward in retirement. And there's ways of going about that, and there's ways of drawing your money down strategically to help that situation. And then last, we're going to be making sure that we're building, your rest of your assets, and we're doing this properly without taking too much risk going forward. That's a big piece of the puzzle. And then probably the last thing I would say that most people don't really discuss is figuring out legacy planning and also figuring out the health situations. What are you doing for long-term care and things like that? So these are just a few of the areas that we cover when we sit down in these meetings. So I would say the first meeting ends up being kind of like overdrive. It feels like it's just a lot of information, but it gives us enough information to build that plan. And then when we sit down in the second meeting, that's when we start digesting things, and that's when we ask you to come back with some more questions, because you're going to, so we can kind of start formulating something that's going to make sense for you so you're comfortable going forward. So those are a lot of things that we do just in the first couple meetings going forward.
So you think about, here's how it all works. And that's what we're talking about today. How does it work if you work with a team at Geiger Investments? It's not going to the dentist. It's not going to be painful. Now, there might be some painful information, certainly, that come out. They might say, Mark, I think you've underachieved. I think you're going to have to work a little bit longer than you were planning on. That could certainly happen. Or maybe you're the other side of that coin and said, holy cow, you could have retired 5 years ago. You've won the game. And that's because we don't really know where we are, because we've never retired before. So it's a great opportunity to call the team. 843-375-8700. The team at Geiger Investments. Are they in the sales business? Or are they in the service business? We're going to ask Kevin that question when we come back. But again, the number, 843-375-8700. When should I start? Well, right now is a great time to start. Pick up the phone and call, because when's the best time to plant a tree? It was 20 years ago. When's the next best time? Today. It's kind of the same thing with your retirement. Would have been great if we had all this in place 20 years ago, but if we don't, it's time to get going. Let's be proactive, not reactive. 843-375-8700. More with Kevin of Geiger Investments right after this. Stay with us. Quick timeout.
You know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Get the retirement planning information you need by joining Kevin Geiger of Geiger Investments for the Retirement Focus Academy. What's the best way for you to take Social Security? When can you sign up for Medicare, and what does it actually cover? What and is there a way to lower your tax bill? These and much more will be discussed. To enroll in an upcoming virtual Retirement Focus Academy course, visit retirementfocusacademy.com or call 843-790-9293. Plan today so you can do the things you've dreamt about doing in retirement. Sign up for the Retirement Focus Academy with Kevin Geiger of Geiger Investments at retirementfocusacademy.com or call 843-790-9293. Advisory services offered through Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Peak Brokerage Services, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC, and Geiger Investments are separate and independent entities from Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Our firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government.
You're listening to the Retirement Focus Academy with Kevin Geiger, powered by Geiger Investments. 843-375-8700.
843-375-8700. 843-375-8700. And we're talking about the process. You call the number, then you set up a time to come in, if it makes sense for both parties, obviously. And then once you have kind of a discovery meeting, right, you're trying to find out, hey, what are my hopes and dreams? What do I want to do in retirement? Am I going to travel? What am I going to go play golf? What am I going to do in retirement? Because a lot of that is important. Do I need a new car? Well, we've got to have these kind of things in a budget, for example. So there's a lot of moving parts. What I wonder is, let's say that somebody came in, went through the discovery process, right? What are the hopes and dreams and all of that kind of stuff? And you find out the financial information and the income needs and the income that we can produce and all of that from the portfolio. Then they come in for that second one and they hear your plan and they go, man, that's a really good plan, Kevin. I think I'm going to take that to my old advisor and see if he can just put that in play for me because I like playing golf with him or going to dinner with him. Does that ever happen where people go, you know what? I think I can do this myself. I appreciate you giving me a great head start, but I don't really want to pay you to do this.
Yeah, we run across those. It's unfortunate because I always say the first meeting is a meeting where we all get to know each other, and I always say if we're moving on to a second meeting, it's a great time to say I'm making a mental commitment that I understand that I'm looking to hire someone to go on. But then there are those people that will come to the first and second meeting, maybe reach out to you via email or on the phone asking for more information to help them in situations. And then all of a sudden you're trying to set a third meeting up to kind of like, let's get this ball rolling. And unfortunately they go, you know what, I've just decided that I just don't want to pay for your services, even though we brought tons of value. And we see this often. I would say the most common thing that we run across more recently is this whole robo-advisor, where people go, hey, thanks for all the great information, but now we're going to go the robo-advisor way. And unfortunately, what people need to understand about the robo-advisor is it's not the same as working with someone that is a specialty person like ourselves, right? So, the robo-advisor is just a passive portfolio. They're not looking at your tax situation. They're not providing financial planning. That's where I pretty much built that whole plan for you, so I kind of helped that part. But they're not going to help you in the taxation situation, whether it's a Roth conversion, figuring out things that are going to reduce your taxes, and still going forward, whether you did that already or not, there's things that are going to change down the road. The tax code is going to constantly change. I don't think the tax code stay the same for the last 20 years. It's ever changing, right? So there's things that people need to understand that you're just not going to get if you continue to do this on your own. Or let's just say you go back to your advisor, maybe you have a stockbroker, and say, hey, I met this guy and he put this whole plan together, let's implement this. The problem is if he hasn't come up with that plan, he or she, the reality is he's not the right fit for you because we've identified areas of concern. We've identified a solution to the problem. So when we put this stuff together and you sit with us and you see this kind of stuff, you got to understand that, we're not trying to, quote unquote, take every dime away from you as far as, our fees to manage your portfolio and stuff like that. Our job is to reduce your costs and earn your business. And on top of that, bring the value because it's not about cost. It's about value. And if we can bring that value to you, everything changes. But you got to understand that when you sit down in these meetings, especially when you're going on to a second meeting, you got to get to a point where you go, I think I see the value in where we're going with this thing, and I see value stands out more than the cost going forward because I know for a fact when we sit down, we put a plan together, it will do dramatic changes to your financial situation going forward, which that outweighs anything else going forward. So yeah, we do see that.
I would think the robo-advisor can make perfect sense right out of college. Hey, let's get somebody to kind of, some computer program or whatever to help guide me along the way. But when I get closer to retirement, now I need somebody that actually focuses on retirement because there's so many moving pieces. And one of the things that you talked about earlier in the last segment was the Geiger family. My guess is I don't know if I really want to be in the robo-advisor family. Geiger and family sounds a little bit more inviting. So what do you mean by part of the Geiger family? Your clients at Geiger Investments, they are part of the Geiger family. What's that mean?
Oh, that's a big piece to it. There was a commercial. It was at Athene, I think, a long time ago. I had on TV. You're not a number. You're a name. You're a name. So when they call in, give us your account number, give us your name. Well, we take that to a totally new level. We say, when you call in, we know exactly who you are. We know everything about you. It's like I'm talking to my cousin or my uncle or something like that. We understand each other because I make sure that all my clients get to know who I am, my passions. Most of my clients will know that, I'm a boater, but more importantly, I'm a pilot. I like to fly airplanes. That's been my biggest passion in my whole entire life. And that's one of the directions I almost went into, but decided, I like to actually help people and I like to do all this kind of stuff, which is why I ended up going in this direction, the industry. But, everyone knows that stuff about me if they're a client, just like I like to know everything about them. But then when we go further with this stuff, we want to make sure that they're always going to be a part of our life. So when we put on events, our family comes to these things. I mean, my kids, everyone else, and we put these events on where we give everyone an opportunity to meet other people a part of our family, other clients at our family, and give you an opportunity to maybe meet new friends. Because let's face it, moving down here to the Charleston area and South Carolina in general, a lot of us are transplants, right? We moved down here from the north or other areas, and it's been hard for a lot of people to meet new people. We want to pretty much give you an opportunity to meet people that are just like you, right? These are people that are hardworking people that have saved their money. Now they're in retirement and they're trying to enjoy the luxury of life, living by the water and things like that. And we want to give you the opportunity to meet other people. So we bring all that stuff together. And that's important for us because this is why, we have our Geiger Investments company in our family, because we want to bring everyone into one big circle and give you an opportunity to expand yourself and again, become a part of our family going forward.
So when you think about it, I think a lot of people go, oh, Kevin's a financial advisor, so all he wants is my money. And it goes so much deeper than that because you're creating that holistic retirement plan and covering all those different areas, income, investments, taxes, healthcare, legacy, and all of that, that I think a lot of people just think, well, he's in the sales business. I look at what you do as more of in the service business.
Yep, that's 100% right. And that's a big piece to this whole thing. We are not about sales, okay? Again, we've been doing this for a long time. We built a client base up that trusts us, that's been with us for over 20 years. We're not there trying to gobble up business because we need to have business to pay our bills and things like that. No, we've gotten to the point where we want to continue to expand our business model to help people, which is why we've created the Retirement Focus Academy, right? We built that. It's free of charge. I can't even tell you the amount of hours and effort it took me and Lauren to put all that stuff together to bring resources to not only our clients, but just people in general in the area. We want to provide things. We want to help people in the community because that's how we are different in this industry compared to other people, because we want to continue to bring resources to help people because that's what I love to do. And this is why I got into this business, because I want to do this for people. And this is why we continue to expand our business and do more things. I look at it, don't look at it like a business. That's probably a bad way of looking at it. Look at it as an extension to you, right? There's services that are there to help you get through retirement going forward successfully, more importantly, and do things right so then you can know that you can live a stress-free retirement because you know that Geiger Investments and Kevin Geiger and this team have everything covered and all the resources available to them at their fingertips.
So again, the Retirement Focus Academy website is just retirementfocusacademy.com. A lot of different educational workshops there covering all topics related to retirement. There's never a cost to anybody to use it, whether they're a client of Geiger Investments or not. It is free opportunity for you to learn about different areas of retirement. That's retirementfocusacademy.com. And also, we started this radio show last year, and we were really focusing on Carolina Medicare. That is another company that you have. Can you kind of touch on Medicare and the Carolina Medicare? Why did you start that?
Sure. So we started Carolina Medicare. We started that just probably a little over a year ago. And the biggest reason was it was just an area that we never focused on, right? We were so much to cover with the investment stuff, the retirement stuff, and everything all under the sun there, if you want to call it. But we realized that our clients were getting bad guidance or no guidance at all, and they were making bad decisions on their Medicare situations, and it was ended up costing them years down the road in retirement. And so we said, and we need to bring this in-house. And so we could have just brought it right under the Geiger Investments model, but we didn't want to. We wanted to separate that as a totally separate entity because we want people to know that if they're calling in and needing Medicare help, that they're going to get help directly from our Carolina Medicare group, nothing to do with Geiger Investments, a separate company that's specifically set up to help you through your Medicare situations. Because what I've learned over the years is if you make that wrong decision, it might not affect you today, it might not affect you tomorrow, but it could affect you 5 to 10 years from now. That might be detrimental to your financial situation because of just poor guidance. And if you call the Department of Social Security, they're not going to give you the guidance you think you're going to get. So we had to set up a company that, again, it's free charge to you. The insurance companies actually pay us to be your agent in a sense. So what's neat about it is you're not going to call and know that you're going to be like hit with a bill. Insurance companies pay us if we end up helping you out. If we don't do anything with you and we give you some guidance, that's great. It's free of charge to you. But that's why we wanted to do that. Again, it's just more stuff that we can do to help our people and to help the South Carolina people going forward.
And of course, if you'd like to find out more, you can always go to the website that's specifically about Carolina Medicare. It is carolinamedicare.com. carolinamedicare.com. All right, we got just a couple minutes left, and we've been talking about the experience. What's it like if you're a client of Kevin and Lauren's company, Geiger Investments? All right, so now the mastermind is going to tell us what is coming to Geiger Investments, the Retirement Focus Academy, to Carolina Medicare. What's coming?
Well, that's just it. I mean, we are trying to build as much of a one-stop shop scenario for our clients because what we've realized is you know, they're like Medicare, for example. We didn't offer that, so we didn't really have any guidance, so they went off on their own and got bad guidance and made the wrong decisions. Well, we've realized in the insurance world, you know, whether it's on your home and auto and things like that, there's tons of different areas that we're going to be adding to the Geiger Investments family, if you want to call it. So look at Geiger Investments as like the core to everything between the Retirement Focus Academy and everything else. So there's going to be more stuff, more services that we're going to be offering through the year and into next year that's going to be able to be at your fingertips. Because once you become a part of the Geiger Investment family, what's neat about it is all these other services we're going to be offering you, we're going to be doing this in the best interest of you, not about our pocketbooks. Because again, when you're part of the family, it's like we're building a structure around doing everything that's right for you. And that is what's different about it versus going to maybe just a normal insurance office where that's the core of their business is selling that insurance stuff to you. We're going to be doing stuff that's going to be in the best interest of you going forward. And so there's a lot of stuff coming around the corner, and we're hard working at this stuff. On top of that, with the Retirement Focus Academy, we're constantly expanding the courses. We're adding more stuff as we go, as we feel that there's a need for it. Because, again, we want to expand and we want to continue to do what we can do to help. Because that's what's important for us at Geiger Investments is to be of your family going forward.
So again, you can go to the retirementfocusacademy.com website to learn about different topics and areas of retirement planning that you have questions about. You want to learn more? Go to the Retirement Focus Academy. There's never a cost for using that service as well. And then here's the deal. If you want to sit down with Kevin and the team and you want to find out about where you are on your road to retirement, give them a call. They're here to help. It's 843-375-8700, 843-375-8700. 8700. Of course, Geiger Investments serving the Lowcountry, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, the entire state of South Carolina. They're here to help you. 843-375-8700. Kevin, time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time. Have a great week. We'll be back again next week.
Sounds good, Mark, and take care, y'all.
This has been the Retirement Focus Academy with Kevin Geiger. Advisory services offered through Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities are offered through Peak Brokerage Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC, and Geiger Investments are separate and independent entities from Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Black Ridge Asset Management, LLC. This radio show is a paid placement.